Grab your scrap fabric because today we're turning pieces from this mystery bag into beautiful interlocked squares quilt blocks. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Jackie and I love using scrap fabric to make quilt blocks and other items in a quilt as you go fashion. Today's pattern is called Interlocked Squares. It looks like this. It is so simple, but I wanted to find a pattern that you could make blocks really fast and you wouldn't have to think about it. On the pattern, we have the darks kind of in the center, and then it goes medium colored, and then it goes light colored on the outside. We're going to do a twist on it. We're just going to say that anything goes. Just use what you have. This pattern first appeared in the Kansas City Star periodical on September 10th and 14th, 1932. And then again on January 28th, 1948, under a new name, a 4-part strip quilt. It was designed by Edna Marie Dunn, who didn't actually make quilts herself. Her designs in the magazines were classified as illustrations. So very interesting. But we're going to see how many strips that we can make from this mystery bag. We don't even know what's in here. And the best part is all the strips are the same size, 5 inches by 2 inches. So easy. Here is what it is supposed to look like if you follow the original pattern. And here is junk gal style, where anything goes. So I will leave it to you to follow whichever pattern you want to follow. For this one, you'll notice that the darks are here, and these are just 4 strip sets. So they go together really fast. So you're just gonna make 3 strips at a time, connect those, and then you'll connect the 4 strip sets to get a block. How easy is that? I'm gonna bring you down to the table. We're gonna dump out the fabric scraps and see what we have. What you're going to need for the Interlocked Squares quilt block are strips that are 2 inches by 5 inches. And again, here is what one would look like if you followed the pattern. Here you have the dark ones, and here are the medium, and then the lights on the end. And this would be very pretty too, and we'll see in our scrap pile if we have enough to do something like that. Otherwise, if you go junk gal style, this is what it looks like. You have the 4 sets of strip sets. Again, 5 inches by 2 inches. And then you'll put 4 of them together, and one goes this way, one goes this way, this one down here goes that way, and then this way. Very easy, but what an effective quilt block that would be. And then once you get enough of those made, you could put them together and have a nice quilt. And if you wanted to do quilt as you go on these, what I would do is make my sandwich. I would put batting and then the backing fabric. I would simply stitch in the ditch in a cross fashion, just like that, and then you can just start connecting your blocks. And I do have several videos on how to join your quilt blocks in a quilt as you go fashion. I do have a playlist for that. I'll try to link that up above. All right. Let's see what we have in here. I think we have a lot to work with. That's kind of cool. Oh, we have plenty to work with. All right, we'll put our bag to the side. Go ahead and fire up your iron because when working with scraps, sometimes they don't lie straight. And then I want to show you a super quick way to cut your fabric that I have fallen in love with. And it is this Creative Grids Stripology Squared Mini. I just love this thing, and I'll show you how to use it. Let me get a piece of paper here. There we go, so that you can see it. You can make 2-inch squares, 3-inch squares, or you can make strips up to, looks like 6.5 inches. And what's nice too, on the other side, there are 1/4 inch increments. So that's perfect if you need to do that. But today we are focused on the 2 by 5. So I just wanted to show you that. I believe this is in my Amazon storefront because I've had it for quite a while. But it makes my life so much easier since I am not great at cutting. And what's nice is it is grippy because it is Creative Grids. And it has nice slots for you just to put your rotary cutter in there. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So easy. All right, let's go ahead and iron this one. This is a pretty blue one, isn't it? All right. And this is a pretty big piece, so we can get a lot out of this one. I do have my iron set up right beside me so that I can press these as we go along. But what's nice is, with that Stripology ruler, I'll be able just to slice through really, really fast. And this is kind of funny because this is a Joanne fabric. How fun is that? I don't know if I want to cut into it or not. All right, we're going to bring this up to the selvage edge, just like that. And then I bring mine up one more time. It does have a marking for a 1/4 inch. And what's nice about that is you can trim off your selvage over here on this side. So you start at the 0 mark. We're going to go to 2. We're going to go to 4. We're going to go to 6. And just like that, I have all these 2-inch strips. And then I could continue. Two, 4. That's probably not a 2-inch, but we'll hold on to it. And then we want to get 5-inch strips. So then I would just open this up like this. Yep, I'm going to keep the folded edge over here. I'm going to line all of these up. Just like that. And yeah, I think I'll do, and then I'll just layer this one on top. And then we'll layer this one. And this one. And we'll lay our Stripology ruler right on there. And you can line up right on this black line. We'll take off those folded edges, and then we're going to go over to 5-inch. Perfect. Take all these little pieces. And then we already know that all of these are 5-inch. And then we'll line these up and see if these would be 5. And they are 5 inches. And this is already lined up because we made a straight cut. So we can just go 5 here. And just like that, you have 5-inch strips to put in our pile. And that is how fast it will go. So put this, all of this to the side. Let's pull out something else here. Again, another pretty big piece. I'll go ahead and iron that. I have that pressed. And I'll fold this up and I'll fold it up again. And then 2, 4, 6. Bring this over and cut this one. 2, 4, 6. I just love that. Someone in the comments was asking how I cut straight, and I have cheater tools like this. That's how I did it. And I think I got this somewhere. It was like 50% off. Maybe it was a Black Friday thing, but I got it for really cheap. Okay, so now again, just lay these out. And then we can stack. We're ready to cut again. Line up that black line. Cut on the 0 because that is our fold line. We're going to come over to 5. There are some 5-inch strips. And we'll lay this down without moving it. And we were able to get some more 5-inch strips, just like that. This one is pretty wild and crazy, but we use all scraps here. So the fold is right here, so I'll fold this down. I can see I have some overhang here, so we'll go on that fold, trim that off. 2, 4, 6. And I might be able to get one more 2 out of this. There we go. These can go in the scrap pile. And then we are going to lay these out. This is the folded side, so we'll trim that off. And see how many 5-inch strips we can get out of this. And then line it up at the bottom. And, oops, I almost hit the 2. That would not be good. There's our 5-inch strips. Let me see if we can get 5 inches out of that. Those are not, so those will go into the scrap pile. These flowers are really pretty. I'll go ahead and iron that. So I have to bend that down. You want to make sure you have a sharp blade in your rotary cutter. And I do have an even edge here, so I'm just going to go 2, 4, 6. This I can already tell is not a 2, so we'll lay these out. That one did not go through, and I do have a new blade in here. There we go. Okay. And put that 1/4 inch mark, that 0 mark right on that fold, so we can get rid of that. And then 5, these will go in the scrap pile. And now we have a new stack of 2x5s. Now this is Christmas. I think I'm going to put this in my Christmas fabric pile, and we'll hold on to that. Let's see what we have here. You will get odd shapes in your scrap fabric, but we will try to make this one work. Now, can I get a 2 out of that with that selvage on there? It's going to be close. We'll try that. No, it's just going to be too close over there, so that's okay. He can join the scrap pile, because we have plenty of projects to work on for that pile where he might be able to work. All right, let's get these pressed. And I'm just gonna stick this on here, right there. And we'll take this edge off. Probably had to take a little more. I still have a little curve right there. It might work, but we'll go ahead and take that off. Okay, now 2, 4, and 6. That's gone, and then that goes in the scrap pile. I should have pulled out my rotating mat, huh? And 5. There's that. And then these are little scraps. All right, I am just going to speed up the video so that you can watch me cut the rest that's in this pile. Enjoy. These small pieces are not 5 inches, so we will put those in for another project. This one we'll have to save for another project, but I think these two will work. And I just want to let you guys know that there is a larger one of these. Mine is an old June Taylor one, and I do still use it. But this one is so much more convenient on my smaller table. We are getting quite a few 2x5 blocks out of this. That is actually 5. We'll see what this one is. That one is 5. That one is not. And these are just lone ones, miscellaneous, so we'll put that in a different pile. Those are 5. 5. Not 5. It is 5, but it is not 2. That one is 5. And I'll just put those in the white pile. We are getting near the end. That one is 5. This one is 5. 5. Look at that. We'll see if my rotary cutter will go through all of these. And I'll put this one. There was another shorter one right here on the top. Okay. And here are some more like miscellaneous strips, so we'll put those over here. And here's what I have left. I think you get the gist of me cutting, so I won't show you the rest of this, but once I get it all cut up, I will come back and show you. I have finished cutting all of my 2x5 strips. And let's see how much we got. Quite a few, actually. That actually goes with that. And these are pretty thick stacks. So we got quite a lot out of that bag. And then what you need to do next is maybe just line them up here instead of putting them back in the basket. Is just line them up. I'll put the whites at this end, because we want as many different blocks as we can get. These were all miscellaneous, so these can go anywhere. Some are larger than others. And it doesn't mean we can't take scraps from other areas. We all have bins of them, right? So we'll get these laid back out. And you may hear some thunder in the background. We're getting a storm. We'll move this aside. We'll get a little design wall here. So we want to just lay out before we go to the sewing machine, just like this. And you could do it in stacks if you wanted. You're just going to do it pleasing to the eye. Just like that. And then we'll take our next set, which will be 1, 2, that one goes back in there, and 3. This is our miscellaneous pile, so we can just go 1, and this looks just like that one, so we don't want to use this one again. I guess I was not a very good pile maker, so I'll put those on the bottom. And then see if I can move this up for you. There you go. And then here, and I'll put the miscellaneous pile back. And then this is vertical. There's that one. And I already have this one. There's that. And that. And then all we need to do to get this block is we'll sew these 3 together, these 3 together, these 3 together, and these 3 together, and then we'll sew them all together. I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back for this block. I am back from the sewing machine, and I just did chain piecing with these. Just like that. And I'm just pressing to the center. There's one. And according to our diagram, these go horizontal or vertical. Just like that, or however you want to put them. And this one goes like this. And these go like this. So I would go to the sewing machine, sew that, and then sew this 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then we'll just put the 2 together. After I have that done, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back from the sewing machine, and this is what our block looks like. We're not worried that none of this is even, because we can come back later once we have all of the blocks done and just trim those up. Let me give that a press. And this is the Interlocked Squares quilt block, Scrappy style. And you can just make a ton of these just out of your scraps. And I want to show you, before I go, how to put together the original block idea. So you would take your light fabrics, and you'll need 4 of those. So one would go here, and then you need a medium color. So we could go, if we wanted a medium color, it would look like, let's go through our miscellaneous pile here. We'll go with this. And then you need a dark color. I think what I'll do for the medium is use a floral. There we go. And then you would need a dark. And let me see if I can find a, here's a dark. Next, we would need a white in the upper corner right here. And then a medium, so we're going to look for a floral. So we'll go like that. And then a dark. And then we could do this dark one. Or you could stay with the same color. Like this. And then the white. Goes on the bottom here. And then a medium floral right here. And then the dark again, like this. And then this way, there you go, like that. And then the white this time would go here. And then the medium. Let's find a medium out of our pile here. And here's a medium. And then we need the dark right here. And we'll use the same dark one right here. I'm going to go sew these together so you can see the original concept. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back from the sewing machine and here is the block. Isn't that pretty? Let me go ahead and press that for you. Here it is. This is so pretty. I love how the dark is here. You could lay these out however you want. Original 1932 style or scrappy style. But how fun. Or you use all scraps except where the dark is, but these could all be scrap fabrics. But just use a consistent fabric here if you had a bunch of that. And it looks like I do have quite a bit of that. And then I could start with this. I have a ton of white in my other stashes, so I could make a bunch of these. And let me get you the final measurement on these. These come out to about 9.5 and 9.5 this way. So not too bad at all. Let me know in the comments what your favorite one is, scrappy style or vintage style. Since my last video, I've been working on something very close to my heart. I pieced a quilt top and quilted a quilt, complete with binding and even a label. The pattern is called Perfect Match by Fabric Cafe, designed by Donna Robertson and Fran Morgan. They make it simple for those of us who enjoy smaller projects like 3-yard quilts. This quilt is for a very special person. The church where I work as an administrative secretary is closing. Founded in 1883 with the current building completed in 1949, it has been a second home for many. It's a hard season for the congregation. This quilt will be given to our church president on September 7th, 2025. It took me several weeks to finish because, as you know, I'm a quilt-as-you-go gal, but I believe it turned out really nice. I think he'll treasure it for many years to come. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a Bible verse and a final thought to encourage you. The Bible verse today is from Colossians 2, verse 2, that their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love. When I think of the word interlocked, I picture hearts, hands, and lives bound together in a way that cannot be easily undone. Just like the strips in today's block, we are stronger and more beautiful when connected in love. Even in seasons of change or loss, those bonds, woven through kindness, prayer, and shared faith, remain. May we hold fast to the ones God has placed in our lives, knowing we are all part of His greater design. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and commenting. It truly means the world to me. And until the next video, God bless you.